So in this video, we are going to look at how to get our audience to feel a sense of urgency. So for example, maybe you work in a field like cybersecurity or ESG or IT, where you can see something is really urgent, but your audience just don't get it. Then this video is just for you. I'm going to share with you 3 principles to help your audience feel a sense of urgency. A quick introduction to myself. My name's Jamie Dixon. I'm a leadership storytelling coach. I'm the author of The Story Habit, and I help leaders to communicate with impact, influence their stakeholders, and inspire people to take action. If you'd like to learn more about what I do, you can check out my website, thestoryhabit.com. But let's get straight into the video. So the first principle is what I call proximity. And I'm going to demonstrate this using a simple metaphor. Imagine you're on a walk in the woods, and it's a lovely day. You're enjoying a leisurely stroll through the woods, and then in the distance, you hear the howl of a wolf. Now, you hear that howl of the wolf, you feel a little bit concerned, but because it's far in the distance, you think, it's okay, I'll be okay, and you continue on your stroll. But if we change the situation a little and imagine this time you hear the howl a lot louder and you turn around and you see the wolf right there creeping up on you. Now you are going to start running. One of the reasons people don't take change seriously is because they feel it's too far away. So if we take an example of cybersecurity, think of a fast-growing startup business, and the founder is so busy dealing with the day-to-day and firefighting and trying to get more business that they don't really think about cybersecurity. And to them, cybersecurity, the thought of being hacked, is just something that happens to someone else. It's not something that's going to happen to us. But if you are the cybersecurity expert, you know the risks and you know how urgent it is to take action. So you need to let that founder see just how close the danger is. You need to let them see that the wolf is right behind us. They're not in the distance. So for example, you could give examples of businesses that were recently hacked. What would be even more powerful is if you shared a list of your company's key vulnerabilities and then shared examples of businesses that were recently hacked through these vulnerabilities. You could also share just how many phishing attempts there had been on our business and just how many scam emails our employees receive on average every single day. If they can see that cybersecurity is an issue that is happening right now, they are much more likely to feel a sense of urgency. So the key with this first principle of proximity is to really help them see that this is happening now. This is affecting us right now. Because if they can't see that, then they're happy to just continue their leisurely stroll through the woods, thinking to themselves, cybersecurity is something that happens to someone else. So help them see that it's happening to us right now. The second principle is identity loss. So we feel a sense of urgency when we can feel something slipping away from us, when we can feel that we are about to lose something that is important to us. Now that loss could be a financial loss, could be a loss of opportunity, but there is one type of loss in particular that is probably the most powerful type of loss to influence people's behavior in the workplace. And that type of loss is identity loss. So imagine your business has a reputation for being really environmentally friendly. You've won lots of awards, you've been featured in lots of news articles, and you have an amazing reputation. Your CEO is always invited on the news to talk about your best practices for protecting the environment and reducing waste and reducing carbon emissions and so on. And then you have gone out to audit one of your company's suppliers, and you discover that that supplier has actually caused a massive pollution incident right near their factory because they're not managing their waste properly. Now imagine the consequence of that news getting out to everyone, that your business works with a supplier who caused that incident. That would be massive damage to your reputation. It would be extremely embarrassing to the CEO, and it would really have a big impact on business as well. Customers would lose trust in you, you'd lose revenue. So if you can see a threat that you want your audience to feel, then focus on how it threatens their sense of status and the identity that they project into the world. And the reason this works is because ultimately we are a tribal species. If you think back to our hunter-gatherer age, we survived in small bands of people. We didn't survive independently. We survived by working together, by hunting together, and by sharing resources with each other. If you were not a part of the group and you were rejected, you would be on your own, and most likely that would be a death sentence. And so instinctively, we feel this need to belong. But then once we're in the group and we belong within the group, we then feel a need to gain status. Every time we do something that the group respects, we get status. And that we love. And that motivates us to behave in ways the group respects. And so we have this instinctive need for status. Think about all the weird gadgets you've wasted money on, the clothes that you buy, the books that you read, and just how much of that is about your sense of identity and communicating your sense of identity. So, long story short with this second principle, if you can highlight how there is a threat to their identity, that is the kind of threat that will make people sit up. And if you can combine that with the first principle of proximity, to let them see that if news of this supplier polluting the environment gets out, it is going to have a massive impact on our business. If you can help them see that that is something that could happen now, then they're going to feel that sense of urgency. So that's the second principle, identity loss. So the third and final principle is called burn the ships. This principle is named after the story of the conquistador Hernando Cortés. In 1519, when Hernando Cortés sailed from Cuba with his crew to the shores of Mexico to go and conquer the Aztec Empire, some of his crew wanted to return because they were not loyal to him. They wanted to go back to Cuba. Hernando Cortés caught wind of this, and he decided that the best way to get their loyalty was to line up all of the ships that had brought them to Mexico and burn them. Once those ships were burned, there was no alternative. They could only go with him. And that way he got their loyalty, and he went on to conquer the Aztec Empire. Now that might seem like quite extreme lengths to go to, and in that example, definitely. But in reality, sometimes this is a principle that we want to use if we want people to take action. So for example, you work for an IT department and you are providing IT support to the whole business, and you are wasting a lot of time supporting people whose issues are because they have not updated their system. If these people updated the system to the latest version, you would cut down the amount of time you spend dealing with these issues by about 50%. And you've tried being nice before, you've tried asking them to update, you've tried sending email reminders, and it hasn't worked. So now, create a sense of urgency by saying, from this date onwards, we will only be providing support to people who have updated to this version. If you have not updated to this version by this date, we will not be providing you with support anymore. Try that approach and see what people do. People won't necessarily like it, but as a last resort, you remove the alternative options for them and they have no choice but to take action. Again, this is the type of approach that I would only recommend as a last resort. But if you have already tried the positive approach and everything else and it hasn't worked, then you also have this approach. So that's the third and final principle, burn the ships. So there we have it, 3 principles to instill a sense of urgency in your audience. Thank you very much for watching. I hope this video was useful. And if you'd like to learn more about my workshops or coaching, my books or online courses, you can check out my website, thestoryhabit.com. Thanks and have a great day.